Sorry about that. Didn't have my microphone on. What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. And where do all fights start? Round one. We have an amazing show for you here today. Let me know that you hear me loud and clear when you come in. Let me know where you're watching from. And we have a lot of boxing to cover. And I also want to touch on why I did not go on last night with you guys to watch the fight. As soon as he comes into the live stream in the chat, I will let you guys know. What's up, Carlos? In the building. How you doing? There was a hiccup last night, but as soon as he comes into the chat, we're going to talk about it. Let me know when Bam Bam Boogie arrives, or if he arrives at all. Because, man, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about why I didn't go on last night, why I never got around to doing the video. And we're going to talk about Subriel Matias and his next fight and what is being said and how is he looking right now. Subriel Matias, how you guys doing? Audio check? Good? We good? We good? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. You got the audio? Yep. All right. Well, Carlos. So, Subriel Matias right now is making his ring return right now. And he's going to be coming and making his ring return November 9th, right? He's going to be coming up. His opponent for this fight is Roberto, Ramirez. And he has a record of 26 fights, 3 losses. And I believe he has 19 knockouts. Okay. His record, in a sense, is a little deceiving because when you look him up, you're going to see that he has on BoxRec, he has a 73% KO ratio. 73% KO ratio, right? So that, he's 6 feet tall. He's an orthodox boxer. He's 31 years old, and he has a 69-inch arm reach. According to the weight division in all 140 pounds, throughout all Mexican representative fighters, there's 381 Mexican representatives in that division. He's currently ranked number 11. So throughout all the Mexicans, he's number 11. Now let's break down his record. And the reason why I say that that's the problem. That's what I wanted to talk about. So he can crack 73% knockout ratio, right? So I'm like, okay, let's check out his record, right? In his entire professional career, 26 fights, he's never passed the 10-round fight. He's never been 12 rounds. He's never had a 12-round scheduled fight. In fact, his last fight was a scheduled 8-rounder. The fight before that was a scheduled 8-rounder. He's pushing up to fight Subriel Matias at 10 because that's all Subriel will go down to, is he agreed to 10, right? This guy has only fought in 26 fights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10-round fights. His first 4 fights were 4-round fights. Then he went to 6, and then he went back down to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He had 8 4-round scheduled fights, and he fluctuated from 6-rounders to 8-rounders. He really never got out of second gear and really put himself, to once you start in the direction of 10-round fights, you don't look backwards. That's kind of where you want to be. So that's a little concerning with me with the level of his opposition is, He's got some pretty good names. He's coming off a 3-fight winning streak, right? Where he has 2 TKO stoppages in his last 3 fights, right? His only loss in his last 5 fights was to William Cepeda. So that's nothing to be ashamed of. William Cepeda stopped him in the 5th round. Okay? So, and it was a 10-round fight. After that, he had a 10-round fight, 2 8-round fights, and now coming into the Subriel Matias fight, it's a 10-round fight. But when he's had some pretty, good knockout runs in his record. It seems like he's consistent. The highest streak he went on was a 3 knockout streak, I think it is. No, right here. Ooh, his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. His first 6 fights, he all won by knockout. His first 6 fights. So, as far as, grit, toughness, he fought good name fighters. William Cepeda, he's number 1 across the board, right? And when we're talking about Subriel Matias, which I believe don't need any introduction, but just in case you're not familiar with him, Subriel Matias is born in Puerto Rico. He has 20 fights, 20 KOs, and he has 2 losses. In Puerto Rico, through among all the Puerto Rican fighters in that division, he is ranked number 1 out of 24 Puerto Rican fighters in the 140-pound weight division. He is number 1. He has 22 bouts. He has 100% knockout ratio, meaning either he's knocking you out or he lost to you. That's the only way. So far, that's the only way his fights have been going. Subriel Matias is 32 years old. He's an orthodox boxer, and he's 5'8". He has a 71-inch arm reach. He has 2 inches on his opponent. So, from Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Now, Subriel Matias, his record speaks for itself. I don't have to break down whether or not he's knocking people out with 100% knockout ratio. I don't have to break down, So he's coming off a tough loss, which he came into a bout against Liam Paro in Puerto Rico in his hometown. I was present on that night. I got to interview both fighters, and I personally talked to Subriel Matias. He was honest. He's been a real class act. In his loss against Liam Paro, he makes no excuses. He doesn't say he had a bad night at the office, anything. He says, fair play, the better man won on that night. After that fight, he changed boxing camps. And according to Subriel Matias, a lot of people were questioning what happened. Did the relationship strain between him and Panda? Or was this something that was going to happen regardless he won or lost? In Subriel's own words, he said, whether I had won that fight, I was going to make a transition anyway. And, he would have said, at what moment do you decide that it's going to look good for you to switch up with your training camp? Subriel said he had 3 little girls, and he wanted to be home closer to his babies, and it was tough for him always with every fight and for so long, going out there and training Mexico. But he gave them thanks, and he was like, he learned a lot, and it was his pleasure to go out there and work with Panda, how the way they accepted him over there and everything. And there's no love lost. It's just that, homesickness and being away from your family and, juggling with your wife, that can strain your relationship. And in training, you might not be focused full-heartedly, because you don't got that security. It could have played a factor into his mind. I'm not saying that it did. That's just, sometimes things like that happen. So he makes a transition. He comes to Puerto Rico. Now, November 9th, he's coming against, we talked about his opponent. So let's talk about Subriel. Subriel Matias, from what I saw, I've been recently looking up some of his sparring footage and what they, allow out, you know. But talking in between the lines, um, to people that are closest to him, I just recently interviewed Subriel Matias on my channel. If you would like, you can check it out. Um, and he looks focused. He looks fuller. He looks like he is in a place where that he can concentrate on his craft. Being 32 years old, he knows that with every fight is a must win. Um, and I want to remind the world who Subriel Matias truly is still. To me, he is still the most avoided fighter at 140 pounds. Now he went right back to what he once was, which was the boogeyman and terrifying the 140-pound weight division. Now all champions are looking at him, or number one contenders, number two or three, are looking at him like a high risk, low reward fight now. They're gonna want to avoid him. They no one, everyone's not. You don't see no 140-pound champion or opponents or top guys calling Subriel out. I told him on our episode, I told him I believe it's going to be real hard for you to get and secure some of these tough fights. Subriel understands that. Many spectators asked if he was going to pop up in Puerto Rico and probably get in the ring and try to challenge, the challenger, the winner between Liam Paro and Richard Hitchinson. Because Richard Hitchinson, just before the Liam Paro fight in Puerto Rico, they had their little back and forth with Subriel, but he seemed to not want to smoke. Him and his coaches acknowledged they might not be ready for a fighter like him. What happened in Puerto Rico that night by Liam Paro beating Subriel Matias, it kind of took away this aura invincibility off of him. But I hope it kind of did. I hope these other fighters think, hey, look how Liam Paro beat him. We can beat him like this. And if they slip up and they think the Devin Haney's of the world, the Teofimo Lopez of the world, if they slip up, and perhaps be like, you know what? You don't seem so invincible right now, Subriel. And give them an opportunity. A lot of these fights and a lot of these fighters complain about either favoritism, not being marketed the proper way. But some of these fighters need to take accountability for not making these fights happen as well. Teofimo Lopez seems to want to be paid a king's ransom for fighting nobodies. And it's just like, yo, dude, he's talking about, oh, all these guys are getting these contracts and the favoritism. Tio, if you actually started fighting, Tio, you can't win today's game on yesterday's score. Tio is trying to get credit and acknowledged just because he fought Loma a few years ago. All right, we get it. You fought Loma, Tio. Who have you fought since? Besides Jermain Ortiz. And that was a controversial. A lot of people feel Ortiz won that. So, Tio, he wants to get paid, but he doesn't take the Devin Haney fight. He doesn't take the Tank fight. He didn't fight Ryan neither, in which Ryan is rumored to want to come back. That, I read it somewhere that Oscar said he would like to put Ryan Garcia in April when he comes back against Teal, right? Which don't hold me on that. I read that somewhere. That's not official or anything. I'm just repeating what I read. That it's a suggested fight. That doesn't mean that any talks or contracts or anything was, that was something that was thrown out there. So when we look at some of these fighters, they have responsibility in this too as well, because Teal's not. He's really not like making these fights happen, but he wants a king's ransom. He's like, Teal got to understand that it's marketable to fight the best fighters. It also, you may lose, but still, so tonight we got some good fights too as well. We got Schofield. He's gonna be fighting. I'm gonna switch back and forth from both fights of tonight, and I'll be on and we'll cover those. We all know what fights they are. And but I just wanted to hop on right now and talk about some of the things and why I didn't happen to go on yesterday. And it doesn't seem like he's popping on yet, but Subriel should be fine. Oh, against his opponent. Well, this guy right here, the one thing about like Mexican fighters, they're pretty like tough. They're pretty tough, right? The problem is I don't think that this guy has enough experience, right? He can crack. He can crack. He's got a pretty good knockout streak, in his own right. He took care of the guys that were in the ring scheduled or whatever rounds and they were scheduled. He went in there and he did his business. I feel that he's probably trying to get into that level where he gets these more 10-round fights scheduled. Well, guess what? Subriel Matias, you're on my list. We could say that about him. And he's saying that, now he's gonna go and play spoiler once again. So Subriel's coming in there. He knows he has a big loss. He knows that this is the road back. If he ever wants to compete for a world title, every fight from here on in, I believe he has to win. Okay. Being the factor his age, how dangerous he is as a fighter, I don't think that these guys are going to be so eager to line up to want to fight him. As far as the fight goes, I went and I checked out my man here's fighting style. And unfortunately, it caters to Subriel Matias going to knock him out. Um, I give every opponent a fair opportunity, and the Mexican, he has a puncher's chance. I'll give every fighter a puncher's chance because this is combat sports. One punch can change the fight. One punch. He can connect on Subriel. He shows that he got punching power. So Subriel has to be alert. You know, uh, I know he's gonna want to showcase um the way he looks now versus how he looked in the ring with Liam Paro. Sometimes when fighters have losses in the back of their mind is the now I gotta make an impression. I gotta remind the world who I am, you know, and he's at the point in his career where you can truly say, you know, um, you're gonna have to kill him to beat him now. Subriel is just he's gonna be relentless. I feel like um, as long as he has good controlled aggression in the fight and he keeps his head on his shoulders and he stays defensively sound, tries to avoid some shots from my man here, and really when he gets his opportunities, don't forget to make him pay. So I believe that Subriel Matias is gonna have, you know, um, it's gonna be a good night of boxing. And hopefully Subriel Matias gets the victory. What he announces, who he challenges from there, time will tell who would answer the call or who is going to be forced to fight him. There are a lot of like speculations of who's going to be his next opponent already, right? But I'm not ready to announce that until he pulls off the victory. The minute he wins, then I'll feel comfortable coming on and telling you they've already have in mind for Subriel. There's two names that come in mind, but boxing's crazy. You got to get past the man in front of you first. Have we seen it time and time again? Sometimes people fall victim. You know, um, like Schofield right now, his dad has been doing a lot of the talking for his son, and now it's his time for his son to come and show. I think that Schofield's going to be victorious. I think he's going to dominate. Just depends on what round he feels that he softened them up, or if he catches them right. I see a victory, but this is just another type of fight that the fighters need in between big fights. And if you're a real fan to this young man, I would encourage you to tune in and watch and support him. It's not always going to be the fight you want to see your fighter fight, but the fact that your fighter can feel the support of the fans and know that, hey, champ, we're here to back you up and to watch you. Okay. We do want to see these fights, and it kind of like all situations are not the same. I don't want you to view the sport with frustrations like fighters like Shakur, Tank, and Ryan's situation with Devin. There's a lot of fighters that are in unique, different situations. And not to judge the Camille Motens, Keyshawn Davises, Schofields, Bam Bam. Don't judge what's going on with them, and stick it to these guys too. And as soon as they get off one fight, no, I want to see him fighting the best, the best, the best. No, understand that boxing has like waves. And hopefully it's not always promise. I get it. It's not always promise. Mayweather and Pacquiao, 6-7 years too late. I know. I get it. I get it. And sometimes we never even get the fight. That Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., that's like 5-6 years too late before it happened. They could have fought 5-6 years before that. So like, I understand the frustration when you see Tank Davis fighting Lamont. You know what I'm saying, Roach? So it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. I do. But at the same time, and then, right, with all the cloud chasing that goes on nowadays, right? All the cloud chasing, like you saw that Tank Davis doubled down on that December date. Lamont Roach goes on another pocket. He doubles down on the date. Meanwhile, Blue Blood and Homeboys arguing about this date never being official. Now it's being reported that they pushed the fight back, and that David Morale, David the Monster Benavidez is going to be on the card. They've done business before. There are also other fights that are being introduced to the card, that it's rumored that the Charlo twin is going to be coming back and being on that card as well. There was another fight that they're going to put together on that card with Javante Tank Davis, with Stephen Kubo Fulton and Brandon Figueroa, that they're going to shoot the rematch when Steven beat him at 126 pounds, right? I mean, 122. I'm sorry. He beat him at 122. The rematch wanted to be scheduled at 126, remember? And then Naoya Inoue came into the picture. Steven never shot the rematch with him. Instead, he went to Japan, remember? So now, since there's saying that fans at once upon a time wanted to see again between them two. So now they're going to make it for the belt. And that fight is rumored to being on the Tank Davis new date. So those are all the fights that are potentially going to be on that card right there. And much more fights to be announced. So there's going to be probably a lot of moving parts. And I'm not sure, entirely, but those were some of the fights that were mentioned that's going to be on the newly scheduled Tank Davis Lamont Roach date. And then we got to confirm that too, to see what's really going on. Is this one of those times that you bought concert tickets and you went to the concert and the artist never showed up, and they beat you for your money, and Ticketmaster's like, yo, we had them scheduled, and then the artist is on Facebook in Maui somewhere or some Caribbean island talking about, I didn't know anything about that. And it was a scam venue. It was a scam thing. And back in the 90s and stuff, they used to do that a lot. And it was more common than I would like to have thought. And I got like that. So, um, you got to go through a process, whatever, give your money back, but it happens, right? So, is it one of those things where these fighters are using us to keep their names irrelevant until they figure it out? What's going on with that date already? And then when you look at the Tank Davis situation, right? What made it real odd, right? It was just a time frame. You need at least a month to start promoting the fight. You're going to need at least, there's a process of time, like, and people are going to book flights. You don't book a fight like that and announce it in 2 weeks. People have jobs. People are going to want to tell their boss, yo, I'm going to take this day off, this, whatever. Everybody doesn't have the same schedule. You weren't going to announce that fight. And in like a month, the fight was going to kick off. That would have been like, really, you're not Saul Canelo Alvarez. When Saul Canelo Alvarez did that with Jaime Munguia, Saul already had 10,000 Mexicans on standby, ready, just because they knew those are Cinco de Mayo day. That was like, they know he fights on that day every fucking year, bro. He got them dudes on standby. Like that's what I mean about Saul. That's why he's one of the highest paid. Like, and with Tank, Lamont Roach being the fact that it wasn't two like names like that. I mean, Tank sells out, right? He don't got Floyd in his corner no more, but he's doing well by himself. But I think something's wrong in fucking Fantasy Island there. I think something might be wrong with Tank's situation. Everything's not playing. But since I'm not present and I have no contact with his team, definitively, I could never say anything like that, and I wouldn't. I'll make my predictions and fights and speculation on how some things can transpire, but I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I'm never going to feed you a story like I got it from a source and try to feed it to you as facts. No, we can discuss things, but if I know something as a fact, I got my own connects, and I got my own people, as you guys can see, and I hear three things through the grapevines, and some things I hear and I'm told not to talk about it. Yes, there's a lot of things in boxing that I wish I could say over here, but sometimes things are not in, you know, if I want to keep friends and ties, then don't stab everybody in the back. I have to be respectable too, and I can hold a secret too as well. So until until I feel like a story should be broken, then I'll talk about it. And that's the bottom line of that. I'm not gonna make anything up. I'm just not doing it for clicks and views and likes. I'm not him. I some people like, no, just be fake, bro. It works out. I'm not doing that. I ain't doing that shit. So you know, that's all I know about the situation with Tank personally. Like, I don't know much. I don't know what's going on with the PBC. I've heard a lot. I've watched a lot. Yes, I'm taking everybody's sides in, and I'm seeing who really actually has facts over fucking feelings. Who are just coming out and thinking they're sitting back in their house and they're putting it together in their head, and they act like a detective and they say, "Oh shit, I figured it out," and just get up on a microphone and start preaching shit because you came to a conclusion without actually knowing all the facts that are really what's going on. You have no idea what's going on in Lamont Roach's house with his kids, his wife, his managers, coach, etc. You don't know if it's the fact that he needs more time. Have you guys ever asked yourself that? How do you know what's going on behind the scenes with Tank Davis and his company? And why does it have to be a money situation? Why do we always think, well, if the venue wasn't scheduled, well, maybe what if he was trying to get a deal with it? What if somebody fucked up on the paperwork? But yes, does it take a rocket science to book a venue? No. Anyone can do it. Just make one phone call. If I didn't find out today, I'll just call tomorrow. It wouldn't take me and my team 3 months to figure out that you didn't schedule a venue and there was a hiccup. That would be a massive fuck up, wouldn't you think? So apparently, these venues don't give you your money back. If you schedule something and what they're saying is you never know if someone else wanted that date. But because you booked it first, we honored your thing. If you pull out, if you think they're going to give you the deposit back for that venue, you're out of your mind. That's business. So before you lose 150,000 to book that venue, whatever it costs to book, let's say it's 120, $120,000 to book the venue. And you got to put down, I don't know, 60 grand or some shit, right? If Tank didn't work shit out with Lamont Roach, guess what? They never made the date. He would have lost that money. Then he would have had to. So sometimes maybe they didn't pull the trigger on the venue because they knew inside, hey, on the low, you might call the person that's picking up the phone. That's a person that works in the office, right? Booking venues, right? That person has a boss. And these boxing people probably talk to that dude, right? They probably got something like, so let me see how many people want, whatever. So they probably had a backup to a backup, but they never could get Javante and him to make the date for whatever reason. That's fucking business and boxing and shit. But as far as the fight with Lamont Roach, the good thing about it is that I tried to go back and see if I could get any footage on ever watching Lamont Roach either fight Tank Davis in the amateurs or in sparring, just to get a feel about how big or small they each are to each other. Sometimes these heights can be really off, like Esau Pitbull Cruz. They give him that extra inch. Have you ever met him in real life? Like, I don't think he's even 5'3", bro. Like he's like 5 feet even. I feel anyway. He's just really, really, really like short. But box record, I think they give him, what is it? They give him 5'3", 5'4". What do they give him? He ain't that tall. But so yeah. I just wanted to see what they look like in front of each other. Like, so um interesting fight. Interesting fight. I think it would be a competitive fight. I think Lamont Roach is not going in there to lay down. I think Lamont Roach is gonna go in there and he's gonna try to, shock the world. Lamont Roach stands to win a lot. And in fact, if he was to dethrone Tank Davis, he would acquire the 135-pound WBC championship of the world. And it's probably going to be a rematch for millions of dollars. So an opportunity like this for Lamont Roach is something that I would have not passed on myself. And when we talk about opportunities in this game, they only come so often. It's cool to think of it one way. Oh, Tank, you need to fight these guys as well. But the guys that are also getting the opportunities are definitely taking them, and they want to cash in on this is their fucking lottery fight. This is Lamont Roach's lottery fight. And, after what Tank Davis does from here, I think it's going to be really big. I think Tank Davis might have to sacrifice some things in order to get some of these guys in the ring with him. Tank is gonna have to do a Jordan move, take less money, a Kobe, a Tom Brady move, take less money to get them to fight you. The best took less pays to get help around them, and in this sport, you're by yourself. sometimes you're gonna have to give the guy a little extra, and it might come out of your purse. Tank might be in a situation where enticing some of these fighters to come in the ring with him, he might have to give them a lot, but it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. You know, it'll answer a lot of questions. Could he unify? Could he dominate the weight division, and et cetera, and et cetera? And it would really let the fight fans, but he has to do it. He has to prove it to the world that he's that guy, Tank. So, fight fans, I just wanted to hop on real quick before these fights. I'm going to drop the link real quick. If anybody wants to join the live stream, you could hop on in, share anything you would like, to talk about. I think Jermain Ortiz got in the ring last night. I think he took care of business. That's what you're supposed to do when you feel like, this guy is not on your level. I think that Jermain came in there. He put him down several times in the fight. And real quick, before I get in on the Jermain Ortiz fight and why I didn't watch the Jermain Ortiz fight with you guys, because I happened to get a phone call from the one and only Bam Bam Boogie that he should be in the live stream right now, but he's probably sleeping. Why? Because according to the phone call, when we hung up, the phone call was 6 hours and some change. He had me on the phone for 6 hours, right? And I call him and he said, "Yo, you got 5 minutes?" He told me 5 minutes. So I guess in his mind, 5 minutes means 6 hours. So I didn't know that, right? So we get to talking. I'm like, "Bam, talk to me. What's on your mind?" So Bam's like, "Yo, E." He's like, "What's the difference between a peanut and a walnut?" A peanut and a walnut. And are they a fruit or a vegetable? I was like, "What?" I was like, so 2.5 hours later, after we researched peanuts and walnuts, I was like, "Yo, Bam, what's really bothering you, my man? You didn't call me for this. Like you sound down and out. What's wrong, Bam Bam Boogie?" Bam Bam Boogie took a deep breath and goes, "Life ain't the same anymore." I said, "Life ain't the same anymore, Bam. Talk to me, Bam." Bam said, "Man, ever since P. Diddy got arrested, there ain't no party like a P. Diddy party." I was like, "Yo, Bam, listen." He said, "The baby oil is flowing." I was like, "Yo, Bam, man, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." And we got to talking, me and Bam, and I told Bam, "Well, at least P. Diddy saved mankind, you know?" And Bam said, what you mean? He saved mankind. And I said, "Bam, P. Diddy saved all of us by going down." I said, "I'm not commending anything he did. I wasn't there. I've heard a lot of accusations, but all that to the side and all the wrong, I don't mean to be insensitive to anybody he did anything wrong. I'm not talking about anything he did, but he did do something, right?" And Bam's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Yo, anytime now you say anything remotely to the left, you say no Diddy, right?" Bam started laughing. I was like, "Yo, he saved us all. He took one for the team." Right? Yo, we was cracking up. But on a serious note, I'm just jiving. But Bam did have me on the phone for 6 hours. That is no lie. We had an amazing conversation. We just got to talking about like every boxing match we've ever probably witnessed. And before I knew it, I looked up and Ortiz was in the ring, and Bam was like, "It's me and you, Ed." And I was like, "I guess so, huh?" And right. Uh and I didn't happen to go on, but unfortunately I was talking and we had a good conversation with the brother, and time kind of snuck up on us is actually what happened. You know, Bam, he's a good dude and shit, and he's real insightful on boxing and shit, and we got to chopping it up and shit. We had a great conversation, man. It was awesome. He also told me he reached out to Armando and stuff, and They had a great conversation as well. And I was like, yeah, man, it's good that you guys, what I'm saying, are back there talking about me. You know what I'm saying? So what Armando say about me? Armando, my man. So when you catch up with this video, I hope you guys get a good laugh. Listen, man, you guys are the best, man. I love chopping it up with you guys. It's always great talking boxing with us boxing nut heads, um, and the ins and outs. And Yogi Bear just texted me this morning, and I want to go back and read his texts because talking about all this a little bit. But Yogi, I know that I usually typically agree with you. So I'm gonna go back and check out some message. And then if you guys got anything to talk about tonight, when we go back and go through the two fights, leave it in the comment in this video, and I'll answer your questions for tonight. So fight fans, see you guys tonight. There's two good fights. The Notre Dame world title will be on the line. Join us here at Round One Sports Talk. If you think that you can call these fights better than me, come on, put your boxing knowledge and try to guess the round like most of us here and try to win the prestigious Notre Dame world title that we have here on Round One Sports Talk. So fight fans, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. You guys been amazing. Have a good day. See you